Hey, this is Deb, and this is Happy Hour with Deb, and this is, drumroll, most special edition. I have a co-host, my beautiful, amazing, incredible friend Brittany Hall sitting next to me, and across from me is another dear friend who is this amazing, killer, badass coach with this incredible stories that she's going to share with us. Jenn, thanks for being at Happy Hour.
Heck yeah, man. I'm so excited to be here.
I am thrilled to have you. You know, I was sharing with Jenn last night on the phone that we trained together. Mm-hmm. And from, how there's always that one person that you're like, they're going to kill it. Mm-hmm. They're going to kill it. Yeah. They're going to they're like, Deb will pick up the round of drinks. We don't know what kind of coach she'll be, but
that's
true. But don't worry, she'll certainly make sure that we get a round of drinks. But Jenn was always very authentic. We worked together the first group
Yes, we did.
session.
Yeah.
We were together, and we did some pretty intense training, and luckily we had this incredible friendship that blossomed. And I like, truly from the bottom of my heart, Jenn, you're one of my people, and I'm so proud of what you've done.
Oh, thanks.
I am so incredibly proud.
I'm blushing over here.
And usually, I have regular viewers, so everybody knows Brittany, or should know Brittany.
I'm just now a little counterpart.
Brittany is going to be co-hosting a lot of the shows with me because Brittany is also a brilliant entrepreneur who grows these businesses into the dreams of what we entrepreneurs start with. Mm-hmm. We go through the grinds, and Brittany essentially takes that away and is like upscales, and she's amazing at what she does. So what an honor to have both of you here at Happy Hour today. This is
Power Hour.
It's a big This is it, man. Tune in, people. Right. Shit's getting real. But yeah, it is. It's great to have you both. I feel honored to be in the same room with both of you at the same time. So let's get into this, Jenn.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
So as you now know, everybody, Jenn and I trained together. Jenn is a coach that works with younger. Explain to the audience what you do, Jenn.
Yeah, it's kind of a mouthful, but I work with families, and we develop a good system of communication that can help these parents and these tweens and teens and young adults connect on the same page. Because do you guys remember when you were teens? It's like, mom and dad, they don't know. Adults, they're so old. And
oh my gosh, my 27-year-old does that to me. She's like, Mom,
you don't get it. You know.
Right, exactly. I'm like, I don't know, 50 some odd years of experience.
Right. And then you throw in technology.
Right.
And it just makes two different worlds. And so what we're seeing is these teens are graduating, and they're trying to set off and launch, and they don't really have the skills. Mm. They don't have the skills to study. They don't have the skills to how to say something when it hurts their feelings. They don't have the skills to be able to understand why they feel a certain way. So we take that down, and we, drill down to what's going on in your world, and it's safe and it's okay to talk about it.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, gosh, I wish you were around when my daughter was growing up.
I hear that all the time.
It is.
They're like, oh, where were you 20 years ago? But the good news is it's coming up. Coaching's coming up, as you guys know.
Yeah. Coaching
is
more
accepted.
Yeah, because it's looking at the future. People are like, well, why shouldn't I just go see a therapist? I'm like, oh, you should go see a therapist.
Right.
We all need to go see a therapist.
Exactly. But you should have one on speed dial.
Exactly. But the coaching is the GPS system that you're just going to attach right here on your chest, and it's going to help you know where you're going instead of just we'll see, there's that unintentional, let's just get in a routine and go with it instead of being like, no, I want to get here, and how am I going to get there?
And I think that's what's so great about coaching is it's individualized to the client.
Yeah.
Where, and therapy certainly has a place, but I think it's this is your blueprint.
That's right. I call it the roadmap to life.
Right.
It's your roadmap.
I love that. And you're not getting, yours is different than mine. And Brittany has younger children too. And it's a different world we live in. Right. Tell me the importance, I hear this even just with, I do treat some younger people too, but I hear this the communicate, the first thing, they're like, we don't know how to communicate.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you knew there was a lack of communication, which acknowledgement is the first sign.
Right.
Tell me what that looks like in this day and age with a 12-year-old.
So you mean communication with their parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's anything because now everything's done this.
It is, and it causes anxiety when it's not behind a screen. And so just even it's I'm just going to tuck it, and that's why they go to their room. That's why, and if they're stressed, they can zone out. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to scroll on TikTok, not anymore, maybe,
Right.
or Instagram Reels, or anything that can take my brain off.
It's
of
a distraction.
It is such a distraction. So they're not used to being uncomfortable. See, right? So something feels hard. Well, I'm going to go Zoom, and I'm going to go do Zoom on my video games, and therefore I don't have to sit. So I often tell parents, let them be uncomfortable, because we see them struggle, and then we swoop in like this,
Right.
it's this whole like vortex of
Right.
this life, this tornado.
Right.
Yeah, and so
Let me fix that problem, even though I created that problem.
right,
I get it.
right. So how can you let them sit there and be uncomfortable, and then coach them through it, and to talk to teachers, and you got a 0. You're not going to just go zone out when you get home. You're going to figure out, what do I need to do, and then when am I going to do it?
Right.
And how am I going to remember? Are you going to set your alarm? Are you going to... So it's just getting these steps that
Like life skills.
Yeah, 1% at a time. That's the only thing that I can think to tell them that feels digestible.
Right.
So, yeah.
How do parents receive that? I mean, I think, looking back, my daughter was not the kind that went and was in her room all the time.
Okay.
She was, even as a teenager, I felt like she was attached to me. I'm like, oh my God, there's still an umbilical cord that's just not, that's imaginary.
Oh, yeah.
She always wanted to be where I was.
Yeah.
But she was never really, but she was an only child.
Okay.
And, her father was at work all the time. So it was really, we were like a buddy system. We were like a team. But as a parent, how do you even approach that? How do you say you're going to need to, because I hear parents all the time, get out of your room, come down and say hello to, Mary.
Yeah, right. It's communication. And so I often tell parents, so when we are having fun, we can't be stressed. When we're stressed, we physically can't have fun.
Right.
So I'm like, get them out of the house, go eat something, go somewhere and have good old-fashioned fun. And it may sound so simple, but it is truly how everybody's nervous systems just goes flexible.
Absolutely.
It doesn't even just rely, it doesn't even regulate. You're in fun mode. You're
Right.
going in the flow where you lose concepts of time. And so go step out, because we're all so busy. And mom and dad are on their phone, trying to one more thing. So we lose that valuable connection. And so if you don't know where to start, it's get in the car, go drive somewhere. Dave and Buster's, who cares where
Right.
it is?
Who
Go
cares?
do
Go to
something.
Velvet Taco. Their tacos are killer.
Exactly. There you go.
Shout out to Velvet.
Yeah, and then put your phone away, and that's when the magic is going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're going to get this connection immediately. It's 1%. We're going to go have fun, and then later on, their kid's going to see you and be like, oh, we had so much
God, that was
fun.
such a good
that wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I tell clients this a lot, to schedule joy.
Yeah. Yes, you said that.
Because we're so caught up in, oh my God, I got to do this, and
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. And then we disconnect with our spouses and our children and even our dear friends. It's okay to take an afternoon off and go do something with your girlfriends.
Yeah.
It's okay.
The world is going to
Yeah.
continue to.
It is, because the problem's going to be there tomorrow.
Yep.
It's not going anywhere, and it's such a weird concept.
Oh, we used to schedule family time with
Yeah.
our kids, because Ryan, he was working 14 hours a day. I was, busy. They were little. And so every night it was all technology's off, and we just would play a board game, or if they wanted to watch a show together or something. But it was on the schedule, and it gave our kids so much, I think, just security, knowing that when the clock's at that time, mom and dad are not distracted. That's our time together. We're all going to connect. And it would usually go longer than what we had scheduled.
Oh, sure.
But it was every single night. And they were family time. And that's just
So
what
great.
we called it. But I was curious, actually, because, teaching kids how to communicate is one thing. But I find most adults don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to have confrontations. They don't so I would guess a lot of education is on educating parents of how to communicate in a healthy way.
Yes,
I would assume.
absolutely. And I get a little bit of resistance. Some families are we're a unit, we're doing this together.
Yeah.
And then I get some, here, take my kid, fix them. And it's kind of well, I can start with them for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm going to come back around, and we'll usually have a family meeting. We do a lot of those where it's and I always start off, this is a safe place. You're not going to come back in a week and get frustrated and throw them
It's all their fault.
the kid,
Yeah.
like you said, that you,
They're 12 and they should be
Yeah,
handling
exactly. Well, you said this, and so there's none of that.
Oh,
and
that's
the
awesome.
kids will they are bleh. So
Right.
they are craving that
To
space.
be heard.
Yes.
And to be understood. I work with some families, and I make them get a ball or a pen, and I'm like, if that's not in your hand, you can't open your mouth.
Right.
Because we're not giving people space to breathe or to think or to grow.
Yeah.
When somebody's constantly jumping
like without
in.
being defensive.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, it's just a matter of, seeing where the parents were raised. I do a lot of, well, how were you raised? And I don't, generally typically go back too far. But if they were raised like that, be quiet, I help them understand why they feel and parent the way they do.
Oh, yeah.
We often parent the way we were parented, right? It's
Absolutely.
what we know. And our generations are completely different.
Oh,
Like,
Totally.
right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we grew up, all of us, probably pretty much in the, we really don't talk about that stuff a ton.
We
And now
don't. We don't discuss emotions, God
we don't,
forbid.
Yeah. And so it's trying to kind of switch a light bulb that this is going to extend and promote your relationship to be really close and not like it's the Thanksgiving dread when you're older and you don't see eye to eye with your parents anymore.
Yeah.
It's developing that relationship that's going to grow with them.
I love
That's
that.
amazing. You're right. We morph into the environment that we are, and
Yeah.
we learn these habits. But this is a question I've been dying to ask you too, because now we're saying with this generation, that they have no work ethic, and then they're lazy, and they don't have any drive. And I hear that so much. Actually, from a parent of somebody I'm working with, I'm like, well, we don't just write people off. Like, if kids...
I was like, fake news. I can't stand it.
Right.
It is not
Yeah.
true.
Right.
I'm like, my
Generation-
12-year-old is a killer.
Right. She's like you. She's a
Yeah.
beast. Right. But so do you get a lot of that from parents?
I hear that as a whole. For the most part, the parents that are reaching out are they're sad. They're like, my relationship is not what I dreamed it to be. So I want to develop. I want them to have those skills to know how to get a project at school, come home, and do the work. But procrastination is probably my biggest concern that I get from parents.
Yeah.
It's like they are not doing their work. They're getting zeros. What's up?
Yeah.
Like, how do I instill this motivation? Well, it's not the motivation. It's just the confidence is so low.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fear failure. I don't want to fail, so why try?
Right.
And I don't understand. And if I ask a question, the people are going to think I'm dumb.
And procrastination
that.
is like a trauma response.
That's what I was going to say. It's
Total
total trauma
trauma
response for
response.
either I don't know how to do it,
Right.
I don't
Or
want
it's
it done.
bringing you back to a point where you didn't feel good when it was, yeah.
And every time you put it off and you come back around, it's the snowball. The anxiety gets bigger and bigger.
And it never ends.
No.
Tell me why you picked this.
I was going to say too, how'd you get into this? Like, what's your story?
Something tells me Brittany's going to be on the tour bus to Nashville.
Right. Yeah, so it's actually a very bizarre, horrible story, but it has a pot of gold at the end, the silver lining. So I was in education. I was good with kids growing up, and I was always like, yeah, that's the direction I'm going to go, and it just felt natural. So I was, 13 years into education, and I had my third kid. And when I had gone back to school, because there was 2 teachers, it was not an option to stay home. So it was just known, maternity leave. I had 9 whole weeks.
I was going to say, the 8 weeks starts ticking away.
Well,
I
it's only
know.
6 weeks. It's not even
gosh.
so I was
That's
feeling
crazy.
9 weeks.
Yeah, 9 weeks isn't
Super.
even
It's
enough time
nothing.
to get your hair colored.
It's nothing.
No,
I
you're
know.
like, I just figured out how to breastfeed.
Right, exactly. Right.
What?
Your toothbrush is dry. But do I brush my own teeth?
I mean, can you even?
There's no time.
In a haze.
I feel like I have no time now, and I don't have a child. I have an infant, and I can imagine if somebody threw a kid.
Well,
on
this
it.
podcast is your infant.
It is.
Deb.
It really is. It is. It is my baby. I must say that.
Did you remember to brush your teeth?
Yeah, I did. I actually did. I function better in Dallas alone because there's no distractions for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I'm here, it's like nobody's like, "Hey, let's go,"
Right.
So I'm like, I'm a worker when I'm here in Texas.
Right. This is your worker beast.
I'm not even kidding you. It's almost like leave that woman alone in Texas for a couple hours. She'll move mountains.
That's right. And so I had taken my baby to somebody who we trusted. First person I told I was pregnant. And on day 2 of me coming back to work, he got sick. And so I went to go pick him up, and he was throwing up. He was such a baby.
Right.
So we went to the ER, and to shuffle through a very long story, we were in the emergency room, and then 10 people lined up against the wall. It was the security guard, social worker, doctors, nurses.
What?
And they were like, and I'm holding him, and they said, your baby has experienced shaken baby syndrome.
Oh,
Yeah. And I just remember going completely numb.
numb.
I had to hand the baby to like my husband, who was just sitting there equally as numb. I'm not even sure.
Well, because you're like, what is happening
And I went
right
the whole
now?
way and just like, I don't remember, like
Right.
blacked out.
Like, how could this ever have happened?
Like what? No. You read about this. This
Right.
is not.
This doesn't happen to me.
my
People we
world.
know.
No.
Yeah.
And so we were immediately shipped to downtown Dallas. We were met with police. We were met with CPS. Like,
Wow.
we're going to take your kids away. You are not deemed safe. And
Oh, my
so
Oh, my gosh.
Mama Bear came out, which I didn't even know I had at the time, right?
Oh,
Right.
But
yeah.
it comes
But you're
out.
like, don't mess with my babies.
And
Right,
so
exactly.
they said, you can have somebody move in with you to watch you. So my mom graciously packed her bags and came and moved in. And my
Aw.
brother, they took turns coming to
Wow.
babysit us, watch our kids.
You're like,
Wow.
I didn't shake my baby.
Right.
I did not.
And
but
how do you
really
even convince somebody?
Well,
like,
what's the most hurtful thing is that the people in my community very much were like, it's too much.
oh my gosh.
A lot of like, I can't deal with that. Now, my core friends were with me, but
Yeah.
the people that
Shunned.
I expected were like,
Unbelievable.
Like,
yeah,
well, we just don't.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
too much.
We don't want to touch it.
Yeah,
Right.
like I don't believe she could do that, you know,
Right.
or he could do that. So,
Right.
Wow.
Anyway, so we did that, and we watched him have 2 brain surgeries. He had a shunt.
Was it the babysitter?
God.
Well, we can't say.
I feel like I'm on a Dateline NBC
I know.
investigation.
Did we investigate what happened?
I can't even
I
see
tried.
you putting out
Oh.
like a pest strip to kill flies.
Right,
Like,
right.
That's just not who you
Well,
are.
it was really my husband because
Right.
in this system, CPS system, it is more of
A man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so, so we tried to press charges, and the DEA just said we don't have enough evidence. There were polygraphs taken. My husband and I did prove ourselves innocent on that.
Yeah.
She did not.
Unbelievable.
But that's not held up in the court of law.
Right.
And so
Right.
we
Oh,
have, and
Jen.
so that's where therapy has in EMDR. I always
EMDR.
yes, has really saved my life.
Right.
Wow.
Because I had to go in and really confront that.
I'm sure. I'm
And
sure.
so we were told he is in the highest level of being hurt, like as severity.
Ugh.
Oh my God.
Severity.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was the only living child in
Wow.
his bracket. Like, it was bad.
Oh, wow.
And that he was going to be a vegetable. And so
Oh,
we just had
Jen.
to watch him. And I had all these people come out and evaluate, like, what do we, and I quit my job, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and they just were like, we have to wait and watch. And he is now like 9 and thriving
Oh,
and in GP.
bravo.
Yeah, he's 9 now.
I have a 10-year-old little guy. I'm
Okay.
like, oh, I know exactly what size he is.
Oh, bravo.
Yeah, so
Bravo.
And he's totally recovered
He's
and is
totally. He still
normal.
has his scar, and he still has a few things that we're working with. But it's,
What a blessing, though. That,
What a
I mean, like that
blessing.
you came out on the other side of that. Like,
yeah,
And-
right,
oof.
like nightmare time.
yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Well, and then having 2 other kids.
Well,
while
hang
you're
on,
dealing-
Brittany. It's still coming.
I'm like, oh my
Our
God.
story is not even halfway over.
I'm sorry. I'm just like, I'm in this.
I know. I feel like I'm on Dateline NBC. I'm like, somebody get me a glass of wine.
It could be Dateline NBC.
Right.
So,
Oh.
so we get there and I start thinking about. I get him home and I'm getting him in all his classes, music classes, because I've got to like activate all his,
Sure,
brain
neurons, get
waves.
that
yeah,
going.
get it going. And then my 8-year-old daughter at the time was sickly. She wasn't feeling good. She was starting to lose weight. And so I took her in the doctor because we had just moved. And I was like, I need to make sure we're good here.
We're
All
on the same page.
All my, ganglia, like I'm ready for anything.
Right.
Well, which worked out because
Right.
I, demanded that she get blood work because he said, let's just watch. And I
Yeah.
was like, nope.
We're not watching
Were they like,
anything.
it's
Nope,
the
I don't
stress.
watch.
Right.
I don't watch.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Get that needle out, sir.
Yeah, get the needle out. And then by 24 hours later, we're in the hospital
Oh my God.
because she is diagnosed with cancer. She was diagnosed with ALL, so it's leukemia.
Yeah.
And we are getting her poured in, and I have a picture of me. I'm waiting to get my son's like checkup brain scans because I decided to shave my head when she started to lose her hair. So I had this faux hog, like shaved with this one little like spike, blonde spike. I mean, it's so funny. And but I'm waiting with him with my spiked hair to go to get his brain scan while she was in the hospital with getting her chemo. And so I'm like, I don't know how you survived, sweet girl, but you did it.
Wow.
And so, so she went through that, and she has recovered. She's now in
Beautifully, she has recovered.
Yeah, she did great. She did great for her treatment, and she's 5 years out, and so she's in the
God bless
Survivors
her.
Club. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And then, so I got through that, and then I remember feeling so uneasy. Like, what do we do? Like, I
What's
don't have a
next?
kid in the hospital. And 22 days later, I walk
Can you
in.
validate my parking? You're like at the drive-through because you're so used to being in the
Yes.
hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Mr.
They gave me a pass. Don't
Large
worry.
fries, validate my parking.
I had a free pass to get in,
I'm
and
sure.
the ER, we don't have to wait. We would just go straight. I mean, it was like,
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable.
yeah. And then my middle son had a tonic-clonic seizure I walked in on. And so he was having convulsions, and propped him up and got the ambulance there. And they were like, oh, hey, Jen.
Right.
Oh my, she's like, we know what helps.
Yeah,
You know what? They were probably like, Jen, tie your tubes, damn it. Get those. They're like, hold on, we're bringing an OB in.
I know, right? You're done, lady. And so,
my
but
God.
he outgrew it. He got on medication for 2 years and is thriving and playing sports and doing all the things. So, like,
You have a beautiful family.
and they're beautiful.
You do. You
right?
have
Yeah.
a beautiful family.
And
you really
so,
do.
I mean, how do you go back, right? Like,
Yeah.
I started filling out applications to go back to teaching. I was like, this is not me anymore. Like, that's a different life. It's before
Yeah.
trauma and after trauma.
Yeah.
And so that's when I just had this click go on of this is something more. I know families. Oh, and then while in the middle of all of that, I was a director at a child care center because we had to have income, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
But my son was there, my youngest.
Right.
And so I was not going to trust anybody to watch him.
No way.
no.
So
I wouldn't even pay a babysitter.
No.
I'd be like, there's no way.
No.
We are
like,
no date nights.
no, they are.
Right.
You're
Yeah. Right.
So-
Exactly.
And so I went to work there so he could get through that time. And now, once he went to elementary school, I was like, all right. So that's when I went to coaching school.
Yes.
And I met Deb. At
Yes.
Tech, and that's
Wow.
where history happens. So
I
that's
know.
the drive. There's
It-
the passion.
And I knew a little of the story.
Yeah.
You know, when we had worked together. Jen and I probably trauma bonded.
I'm almost sure we did.
I'm like, she's probably like, that is not the hot mess I remember. But, you know, I've done a lot of work, too.
Yeah.
You know, I had to. It was a lot of, you know, and those feelings when tragedy happens. So thank God. I mean, I think what you're doing is incredible and necessary, and every family. I truly believe everybody should have a coach.
Yes, I
And
agree.
every family should have a coach. You know, I mean, there's no manual, right? Like
No,
nobody says
God.
to you,
Well, and
this
then
is-
you have one and they're this way, and then you have another kid and they're that way, and it's like,
Right.
Yeah.
my kids are so
Right.
different.
And it doesn't come with a manual. And
No.
I think it is so incredible that you took this niche
Right.
to work on communication, which is, we don't teach it. We just assume people know it. Some people are better, some people are not. But I mean, I was raised in a family where you didn't communicate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And now I'm like, nobody communicates more than me.
Right.
But I
Right, but
really
you had to put in
worked
the
on
work,
it.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
really was like, I'm not going in that direction. I want to be able to confront my issues, and I want to be able to. So I think it's bravo. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh,
I knew
sure.
a little bit of that story. That was amazing. Who's your ideal client?
Oh man. So, you know, the ideal client is a family that is committed to doing it together. And, you know, I really try to focus as I'm starting. I'm 1,000 hours in of coaching, right?
Oh, wow.
And I'm starting to see like what the patterns are.
That you were paid for. How much are you in that you haven't been paid for?
Oh, right. That's right.
Right.
Right?
I'm like,
You were
I'm
like, oh, can you help
7,000 in
me?
that I didn't receive a dime from.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I know. So, yes, technically on my spreadsheet is 1,000 hours, right?
Wow.
That's right.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Yeah,
that is
and
great.
it's growing. I've got a wait list till March, and you know, I'm just starting.
Wow.
to
Fantastic.
So, but what I'm seeing is where I'm really feeling a pull is to empower moms to take care of themselves and see that their story is worth sharing. Because as
100%.
moms, we get it. Like they are, and dads too, but I connect more with moms. It's just what's happened. When I work with these families, I'm usually like on that
Right.
connection.
Because
space.
we get it.
Yeah.
We have to be
Yeah.
everything to everybody all the time.
Right. And they put themselves in the back burner. We
Absolutely.
do. And
Absolutely.
so we actually we host a thing called Mom University.
I know. I couldn't wait to talk about this Mom
I know.
University.
I'm so excited. So we do right now. It's a local group to East Dallas, but we bring in moms and help coach them on themselves. So when they go back home, they're not adding one more thing. It's a self-revelation,
Right.
Of
And it's so, and I mean, it's so, everything gets put to the. You're very good at this, though. I mean,
I'm not one of these moms that's like, oh, I don't have any time for myself. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
No.
I'm not getting into that cycle.
But
as I got older, I think in the beginning, when my daughter was young, it's really that was all I knew. That was my identity. That was and
especially y'all being so close,
right? And I was so hyper focused on being a quality parent because I didn't know what a quality parent looked like, and I think you submerge your. I mean, I was the PTO president. I was a cheerleading coach. I was like, I know. There is a little Betty. I know it's hard to believe. And this
Rachel Hollis wrote a book when I had babies. So
right.
I was like, I'm not
even kidding. I'm a little more Betty Crocker than I give myself.
Yeah.
Like Rusty's like, if people really knew that you like whip together gourmet meals every night, and
that actually surprised me when you're like, I'm like, you cook?
Oh, I cook. I'm a great cook, and it's actually like
is that a stress reliever for you?
It is.
Okay.
It really is. Like my friends would always laugh. They're like, Deb is in the kitchen. Like there's chili going, soup going, all this, and they're like, what's happening in what's destructing in your life? But it really is a language of love for me. Like my friends love when I cook for them. It's a way. It has become. Now that with this business, it's like I can't. I mean, that hour of us eating together and sharing the day and having a glass of wine is so valuable to me.
And you're such a giver by nature.
Oh,
that doesn't surprise me that it's like that's I'm gonna nourish you. And
that's our time. And we love to cook together.
Yeah.
There's like a sign in the kitchen. This kitchen's made for dancing, and we listen to music, and that's really, when you're working and then you're looking for that's my take it down. I'm still a human. I still have needs that I need to communicate with other people that I'm not working with, and it really is such a good. But I do agree with you that mothers and even like it just cracks me up sometimes. Like when men get sick, they're like, somebody's like, I have a sore throat. I'm like, dude,
it's called the man.
I was like, did you take Advil?
Right.
Where's that?
Right, I know.
Yeah.
And women, we're just prepared to go to battle. We're like, you really, when you're a mom, you just got to put that shit aside. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was so sick and I was like laying down on the couch or in my bedroom or something. And the kids come in, and Ryan was out, and Ryan's very capable, like he's an awesome partner.
Ryan's great husband.
But it's just like to the kids, like mom and dad are just different. And my son comes in, he's like, "Hey, what's for dinner?"
Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
Chick-fil-A, like I don't know, I'm dead here.
Right, exactly.
Serve you right now.
I don't know. I'm not going to be alive by dinner. Go ask your father. Yeah, I mean,
somebody get me water.
Right, exactly. I'm dehydrating over here.
Oh my god!
But it is true, and I think that's amazing. So let's talk more about this Mom University. KB's with you.
Yes, so Katie Beth is with me on Gina.
Another rock star.
We were in coaching school together.
We
so
were.
Connection.
I know.
Never ending.
It's so funny, when you come out and it was a very tight class.
I've never heard of coaching school. Like I'm like, this is amazing. Like,
well, you have to be certified.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be.
But
now
that's so cool.
the military is now paying for it. Insurance companies now are paying it. So you need to be a certified coach.
That's really cool.
You have, actually, my friend Vicky, who's who I did my second, she works a lot with military, but they're now paying for it because they're recognizing that traditional therapy has an incredible spot in this world, but it's not the only spot in this world.
Correct. Right.
And we really, and I truly believe, like we were talking about, when I take who I work with very seriously, and I'm like, listen, you're going to need to be as committed as I am. Don't waste your money and my time.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go to war with you, and if this is like a maybe I want to do it, I'm not your chick.
Yeah.
Which probably doesn't surprise you that that's the way I talk to people.
Right.
But, I mean, I do take it personally. I do take it seriously because if I would have had a me, my life would have been very different.
Right.
So, but yeah, it is. I think. So you guys started this. Tell me how this whole thing unlanded.
Yeah.
I'm never shocked when I see things on the internet with you. I'm like, good God, she has a cape. Which one is she wearing today? I'm waiting for you to like leap off a building and just like take over the world.
Well, I need to get with Brittany to help me
I'm not even kidding you. Something tells me the two of you are
I
to
want to
be
be
like,
along for the ride. That sounds awesome.
I know, right? I know. She's so cool. I told Brittany, and I told you too, I'm like, you're going to love her. I love Brittany. Brittany is, I swear to God. Literally,
The
Rusty.
best hype woman.
I know.
I'm so good for myself.
I speak of the truth. I don't, trust me. You know, I'm from Philly. We call shit as it is. So,
Oh my gosh, I love it so much.
you know, so tell me how this got started. Tell me what's going on.
Well, it's, when I am really just soaking everything in and seeing the trends, right? Like when I get with different families, either it's a kid that's preparing to go to college and feels so nervous that they're just having high anxiety. Then we start breaking it down. Or if I'm working with a kid that's nervous to go into junior high, like I do that range, right? And it's just like, it all boils down to the same thing of confidence and not feeling adequate with steps, right? And so
I fear of judgment.
a fear of judgment, yeah. Like it's and that's
This
where that
generation
shutdown
is
comes
so
in.
afraid
Right.
of what other people think.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't wait till you grow. I tell my daughter, like, I can't wait till you grow out of that. Someday you're going to be like a boss. You can be like, who cares?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
You
And
know?
so that's where I work with them. And we work on gratitude and we work
Love
on
that.
self affirmations, and kids will draw pictures of themselves and write, I am strong.
Amazing.
And it's just giving them that feeling. And but then I talk to the moms, and I also sometimes can see it there. Where
Sure.
it's just like, I don't know if I'm raising them right, or what if I'm too hard and I like scar them,
Right.
like in that feeling, and it's like, no,
Battle
like,
test those
yeah.
kids.
So it's just a lot of
That's what I'm like. Gotta be tough.
Right.
Gotta be tough.
We don't, it's Texas. We don't raise quitters.
That's right. And so that's where I started to see like these moms are just craving support.
Absolutely.
That is not a one more thing on your to-do list.
And also a different kind of support from a spouse.
Yes, it is. And I love my husband, but sometimes he just can't fulfill like that. I just
Right.
need that like
Truth.
you
like
can do it,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It is true.
Yeah.
You know, like when over December when business was getting, I called Brittany. I'm like, just walk me through this process. Because I knew she'd be calm. She wouldn't bring feelings. She was like, that's it. This is bang what we need to
Yeah,
do. And
right.
sometimes you need that.
Yeah.
Because
Because
your
I'm not
husband's-
emotionally invested in
You're
the
not
decision.
right,
you know? Yeah.
exactly. And sometimes your husband will be like, well, "Did I screw them up?" Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
it's
almost,
just, and it's okay.
It's okay. It's
That's
totally
just
okay.
not. We don't want to put all our eggs in one basket.
Absolutely. And we want to support
Yeah,
each other.
yeah.
You know, that's what we're here for. So you got to start.
Oh, yeah.
The two of you started.
Yeah, so
you two powerhouses.
I
other
had
little
the
spunky
idea.
blonde.
I had the idea, and I took her to lunch, or we just happened to go to lunch, and I was telling her about it. And she was like, "Oh, I want in.
I'm in.
I want in." And I was
yeah.
like, "I want you in. Like, let's do it." And so that's what we did, and I brought in a lot of coaching school, like qualities to it, and we did a wheel of life where there's 8 sections in the wheel. And it's like fun, family, future planning, environment, friends, spirituality, health and wellness, and then school or work.
Right.
And we analyzed, and I had questions and different activities for each section. And they got to figure out what section feels to me that's the hardest.
Right.
Like, what section am I pushing over here in my life? Because it's all intertwined.
Absolutely.
Right? You're not going to have a great wheel, and then if your spirituality is just totally over here shriveled, you're not going to function well in the home. You're not going to have good, that's going to
No.
be a piece of you.
Absolutely.
And so we did that and analyzed it, and we had 30 women sign up and come, and it was just...
Did you do like a retreat or a day?
It was just at a local, it was 1 hour at a night at a Elks Lodge. Because
That's
it was my
fantastic.
first one, and I was like,
Great.
but yeah.
Every
love
time
it.
I think of Elks Lodge, I think of
My
Big
dad
City
is
and
an
Hopper's
elk.
Pizza.
I know,
Right.
okay, there you go.
Shout out to the Elks,
I
to
know.
Velvet Taco. Right. I mean,
It was awesome.
Right. I love this.
And they were so kind. They sponsored us.
That's
And so
fantastic.
It was just like we had a room, and it was just us, and they got to talk to each other.
It's amazing.
And that was the only response I got back for feedback was like, I want more time to talk.
Oh,
So this
yeah.
next time we're doing it in March, we're adding an hour of like a meet and greet where they can come and just be in the presence of these other women.
That's so fantastic. Like the networking, the connections, the feeling that you're not alone on an island
Exactly.
is so incredible,
Oh,
right?
and to be in a community where you're like, because I think as a woman, like sometimes you go in and you're like people aren't always friendly, or you don't get that vibe.
And I hear that a lot.
because there's a lot of
Yeah.
comparison and like, am I good enough?
Are
they
those
like
the right
me?
shoes? Like here in
yeah,
Dallas?
like you know, oh, I've gained 10 pounds. Like, we're just so hard on ourselves. So
We
to
are.
walk into a room where you're like, we're all here because we like have a common goal and we're going to like support people and like be friendly and inviting. Like, that's just such a cool space.
Yeah, thank you. And Katie Beth put a sign, no judgment zone.
No judgment zone.
Yeah,
when
like
we
get
walked in,
messy.
We don't
get
ju-
in
get
here,
messy.
Get your
I want to go. I'm like,
I know, right? Brittany will be there.
I'm like,
you guys
in
will
for
be
everything.
I know. You know, so is this going to be like a once a month thing? Like, how are you going to? I mean, I think this is so incredible,
Yeah,
Jen.
I
I'm
think
so,
there's a lot of potential. And
like-
I had a dad reach out and say, I want a dad university.
Right.
And I
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
you're onto something.
You're on to something. Do you know that
Totally.
my assistant's name is Jake,
Yeah.
and we hire other VAs, and it's called Jake University.
Oh,
Jake, I'm like, dude, I'm giving you your own university. He's
Yeah.
like, what? You know, like it's empowering.
compliment, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
really, to say you're going to a university feels like you're going there to learn something.
Yeah.
You're coming out better and more enriched.
yeah. And you're going to feel that, you know, I think of college is what for me, and I think a lot of people is you go in there and you belong.
You belong.
You have a space. You're going to wear your T-shirt and you're going to belong because that's where
Yeah.
you fit in.
And so
Yeah.
is this, now you've got one coming up in March?
March 26th in East Dallas at the Elks Lodge, and I can give you all the links to get.
We would love it.
Yeah.
We'll make
Yeah.
sure we get
Yeah.
everything at the end, and we'll absolutely
cool.
post it, and you keep up, and we'll make sure we keep up with it. But like, how was the energy in the room? Must have been amazing.
It was really good.
I
There was
bet.
a lot of just powerhouse moms that come in, and they had to set aside and get childcare if their kids were younger, if not. But it was so like enriching, and just all the mom feedback came back of like, I've never thought of it that way, or this is so amazing. I went home and tried this. I talked to my husband about it.
Right.
So it creates
Because
that-
two heads are better than one.
Yeah.
Especially when you're struggling with communication. Like, we are all carrying stuff
Oh, yeah.
all day long.
right.
I
All of us.
always thought when I had little kids, the most like the women that I gravitated to that like made me feel so much better about like me thinking I was crazy because you know you have like
Oh, yeah.
toddlers running around
Yeah.
and you're trying to make
Right.
money and like keep
Right.
the house clean. It was women who had older children who were just like a little bit in front of it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I like yelled at my kids, just like I yell at my kids. all the time.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
and I mean, not that that's like a great thing, but it just
Right.
like made me go, oh, I'm not crazy.
Well, you
Right.
normalize.
Yes,
You
it's
normalize.
like,
Yeah.
you know, and it makes it kind of like sheds light on it and like just different aspects of being a mom
Right.
or being a wife, you know, and then you're trying to raise kids
And a mom.
together. It's like, good.
Yeah. And it's so, like, you know, I tell people, even now, I'm like, they're like, I'm exhausted. I'm like, that's natural.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
should be
Yeah.
exhausted. I mean,
You
it's
are.
like
It's a
being in the
lot.
military. You're on 24/7. Like, it's a never ending. But I think it's such an amazing way to empower these women to then be able to empower their children.
Right. Right. The
You
better
know?
they are, the
Absolutely.
better we
Oh,
are.
yeah.
Then we're gonna go that-
Absolutely.
And pour into them with that enrichment. And so that going back to the ideal client, it's a family that's open to thinking about the way their world is working. And then
Right.
if it's not working, we're going to try something different.
That's it. Pivot.
Yeah.
And
People
that's
are
okay.
so afraid of that. They're like, what if it doesn't work? I'm like, then we switch it up.
Change your mind.
That's it.
Like, it's a very powerful
I'm
thing.
like,
Just pivot.
just
Well, you
pivot.
say that, but change is hard for people.
It is. It
well, 'cause
really
they think
is.
then somehow they were wrong, you know, and it becomes
It's
this
an
whole
It's an
ego.
ego
It's an
thing.
ego thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
That comes into, but I mean, I think it's so beautiful for someone of your qualities to work, one, with women, to work with families, and you're such a great mom. And it bleeds through into I think it's just a beautiful, I'm so proud of you. I want you to grow
Thank you.
this. And when I get
Yeah.
my tour bus, it'll have this on one side, and
love
you'll
it.
come on the tour bus with me. And I think it's such a beautiful, we don't have all the answers. As much as, you know, we clean up and we look like we have all the answers.
Right. Right.
Right? I don't. I call Brittany. I'm like, well, talk me down from this. I'm about to be a jumper. You know, like, we don't have all the answers, but we do have each other, and you do pull from other resources.
Yeah, if you're-
and even in the coaching, you know, in the business too, when you start, you just assume you're going to be coaching people.
Yeah.
I'm going to coach people. Well, how am I going to schedule them? Who's going to pay? Blah, blah, blah.
Where are you going to find them?
I know, we're going to find them.
Where are
Right.
these people?
Right. But I think it's so beautiful that you niched it down to be like, this is what I do and this is what I'm good at.
So cool.
Yeah, it's so just because I didn't want to sit in the cancer a lot of people, you should coach the family. I was like, that's not where I'm going to pull. Like, that's
Right.
just
Yeah.
not for me right now.
Right.
And maybe down the
Exactly.
road, but for right now, it's just to help families. And it's actually, we were talking about change. That's the topic of our next Mom University is how to grow with your kid.
Wow.
Because
that's
think, when you
powerful.
have little kids, you take them and you hold their hand. No, you need to apologize. You says they get to teens and they're like, they're not apologizing. I
know.
tried to make them and they said no, and it's like, nope, we're gonna back that up.
Back it up.
We're gonna
Climb
back that
stuff.
train up, and so how you grow as they grow, and so you can still see eye to eye and have that connection that we talked about in the first place.
You know, and you guys don't have adult children, but it is very. It's bizarre to see your child making life decisions and not being in there to like manage
maybe
it
did you think about this? Did you think
fix
about
it and whatever. I mean, I was always, I showed my daughter everything in the world because I wanted her to make a decision.
Yeah.
I didn't want her to be like, well, my mom lived here and that's where I took her everywhere. I mean, I sat her down with homeless people in New York City and I'm like, you learn what suit fits you the best. Really, you don't have to be like us. You can be anything you want to be, but you don't, when they morph into adults, I mean, to me, like, I don't know, anybody can raise a 5-year-old. I mean, I know that sounds very insulting. Raise an adult with their own opinion.
Yeah,
Oh.
right.
You're like,
like, okay,
who raised you,
Yeah,
man?
right.
Yeah.
but that's the goal.
That
right?
is the goal. The
Yeah.
goal is to raise independent
Yeah.
thinkers. There's a huge disconnect because I've had to learn the fine art of shut up, Deb.
Yeah,
It's not about you.
right.
And if she's going to hit her head, we'll put a Band-Aid on it.
Right.
She's going to be okay. But sometimes that's just how we learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is. And and you've gone through some very significant
Right.
life-changing things with your children.
Right.
So for you, you're probably like, I wouldn't even let them in the sunlight. I'd be like Michael
Right.
Jackson's kids.
Right. But-
They'd have an umbrella over them. And I would. There'd be like bodyguards wrapped in tarps
Right,
around
right.
them. But, I'd be nuts. But, yeah, it is. And I think it's such a great thing that you're working. Give me a success story. Give me a feel-good story.
Oh my goodness, yes. So I have been working with a gal that her mom she started with me when I just started. And she was like, you will walk her through high school. She was a freshman in high school. She was like, we're doing this together.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so she is now, her grades have gone up.
Wow.
She's made the dance team. She's trying out for officer. And there's still
fantastic.
bumps. There's still bumps. Don't get me wrong. Like I still
Absolutely.
get those emergency calls and those emergency texts, but we do it together. It's
great.
And the trust has been built, and she is going to just soar. And
That's
so-
amazing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
must feel so honored.
Yeah, I feel like I'm part of the family.
I
Like-
know.
like,
Oh, yeah.
I leave her little porch gifts. Like it's
Oh,
just
right.
like
You're like her auntie mentor.
that's what I said.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, that's amazing.
I think when you coach, whether you're coaching entrepreneurs or working with youth or whatever, I think, to see somebody step into the life that was meant for them.
Right.
And to get over an obstacle or to go you can start a business. You don't, and your kids will thrive. And for me, it's like I went into what I'm doing because I didn't want anyone to ever feel as low as I felt. So when I see these people blossom into the people that they dreamed of being, it is incredible.
Nothing better.
There's nothing
better.
better. To me, there is just nothing. And you know what I do love about Texas? They invest in their children here.
Yeah.
Okay.
This area is known especially for investing in their like they all have their private coaches and whatever. Like coaches are paid here, which blows my mind. Like in Philadelphia, coaches are parent. Like I was a cheerleading coach, I wasn't paid.
Wow. Okay.
Not a penny.
Well, and I'm from Oregon, where everybody's like, we can't afford that.
Right.
Like,
right.
our kids can't
but
play sports,
invest
can't afford
in
it.
your future. This
Yeah.
is what it is, and seal the cracks now.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like, I think, when you go back, I'm sitting here like, oh my God, was I a good parent?
You totally were, Deb.
But, it's so funny because, and we don't move on from things we don't acknowledge,
Right. Right.
Stuffing
it in the closet, and sometimes the closet gets so full,
So
then
full.
it pops
And then
open.
and guess what? It's been in there so long, you don't need it anyway. Just
Yeah.
get rid of it, toss it
Right.
out. If you haven't used
Clean
it,
it
just,
out.
get a big shop vac, suck it all out, get it out of the house. But, tell me where you see this going. Give me like a 5-year. Are you gonna be on the talk show circuit? Because Brittany and I, we love a good front row seat.
Yes.
I'm like, are there book deals? Like,
Yeah, are you gonna write a book?
Yeah, that is in my that is in my dream board.
Great.
That's coming up. It's just it's almost so much. I
Right.
get a little paralyzed, and that's why
Right.
Brittany on my side here.
I'm telling you.
I know.
Like, just don't even worry about it right
Yeah.
now.
Listen,
The next
and
thing.
here's my thing. I know what I'm good at, and the other stuff I'm not good at, and so I get somebody to do it.
Yeah,
Like, I know I'm not good at that, and
Right.
I'm not, I need to stay in my lane.
Yeah. Oh,
so to speak.
absolutely. And yeah, it's just the dream, right?
It is the dream, right?
So I guest write. I am bringing on guest speakers. In fact, we have a really cool opportunity. I'm bringing in a guy who is part of the Texas Against Fentanyl.
Wow.
And I've partnered with RISD.
Wow.
And we're going to present him to be able to speak to the community.
That's
It's
amazing.
just finding
So
these
needed.
things that are just overlooked and assumed that everybody
Mm-hmm.
knows. So my big goal, I would say, is to be speaking to big audiences, to
It's great.
upgrade to like mom situations, and to continue my one-to-one coaching because I do love my clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just
yeah.
like you do. So
I do. I love my clients.
Yeah.
People are always like, would you do the podcast as a full-time job? And I'm like, what? They would pay me to do this all day long? Are you kidding? I'm like, who would not? But I do really value the coaching.
the connection, right? Yeah,
I do. I love to see people, because when we first started and we got, it's scary waters out there. I mean, you've been doing this a long time, but, and now just to see that we have, like, it was such a pivotal team.
Yeah.
And to hear people be like, you were the one who helped me get to that. It's melting.
Yeah.
Like, I would do it for free if I didn't have to eat.
Right. Yeah.
It's that food
True
thing
passion.
going on, but
Yeah.
it really is.
True
It is a labor of love. It is
Absolutely.
amazing.
So when you lay your head down at night, you're kind of like, okay.
yeah,
I accept.
or I look at I try not to look. I've learned this, not to look at the schedule for the night. Like, just set the alarm and don't
Yeah.
look at, because then I'm like, oh my god,
No, don't do that.
Like yesterday, I
Relish
was like,
in your moment. Yeah.
I was like zoom to the next, but every single one. And I made the declaration on this year. I've spent a lot of time working on myself and, getting rid of things that aren't serving me and kind of letting go of things that I just truly need to let go of. And I have declared that this is the year. I'm like, this is my year. This is the year where I'm getting more breakthroughs. This is the year that this podcast is going to reach more people. This is the year that I'm finally going to be the person that I've worked so hard to be. So I wake up every morning.
Way, yeah.
I wake up every morning. I'm like, good morning, Rusty. Welcome to another day of the best year of our lives.
I love it so much.
He's like, who pulled your string? He's like, it's early. Who
What
pulled
a
your
great
string?
morning affirmation,
I was
though.
gonna
Like,
say,
starting your day with that energy. Like,
Yeah.
I need Deb in my life just to be like,
I am.
good.
I
Yeah, you
know.
need, like,
I
an
do have a lot of
alarm
clients.
sound.
They're like, just give me a few like Deb lines.
Yeah,
like, just
right.
hit me to
Right.
me motivating. It all truly comes from the heart.
Oh,
I never
yeah.
say things that I don't believe, and I tend to see the good in people, and I think that helps a lot
Yeah.
with this kind of job.
oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Can't blow smoke.
Yeah,
But
no,
we'll
you
see
can.
what
Well, I'm
happens.
from Philly. We're not allowed to do that anyway. They're like, they can call that right out. So,
yeah.
all right. We're going to have you back more and more and more, because I think this is such an incredible, I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm like, God, where was she when I was like,
No, I'm
my
like,
head?
this is amazing.
It's amazing.
Like the mom, I mean, I
We're
love that
going
you're
to
helping
the next
teens and
meeting.
stuff, but I'm like, this mom university thing could be
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
Massive.
I think-
But I think of everything from like a business perspective.
need
I'm
to. I
like
need
I'm
that
like
in my
a
life.
monetizer
Yeah.
to the
Right.
max. But I'm
She
like,
is.
I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, what is that?
Yeah, right. I do. I think it's incredible. I love the name.
Yeah.
I think you need swag. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I really do. I see this going. So, how can the listeners? How do we get more Jen? How do they get in touch with you if their parents or their children want to work with you? How do they get in touch with
Yeah,
you?
absolutely. So my website is jennbrowncoaching.com. Super simple, like the name of the color, jennbrowncoaching.com. And on there is just a chat form, and you can submit it, and I'll get in touch. And I'm just super, like, I love meeting new people. I love hearing their stories.
You do.
So
We were meant to be friends,
Yeah,
you and I.
yeah.
We could have spent that whole day just talking, you and I.
I know, right? And so so there's our Facebook is Jenn Brown, like Instagram is Jenn Brown Coaching, like you'll find me.
Yeah,
you'll find
great,
me. So just go
great.
to Jenn Brown something and you'll find me.
And what about the Mom University? What if we have listeners that would like to get involved?
Oh yes, so I will give you the link, but it is on. If you go to Book Now on my website, you'll
Okay,
find
great.
it, and it's March 26th, and the happy hour, like come meet and greet. It's open to anybody and everyone from 6 to 7, and then we will have our workshop from 7 to 8.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I see this going with some corporate sponsors helping you.
Oh,
you
my
know,
goodness.
Oh man,
so
I
if
can see
anybody's
you doing this
listening,
around the country.
yeah, me too.
Like
So if
eventually. I'm
anybody,
like,
if
this is huge.
anybody's looking for a great cause to throw behind to help support Jenn and these great, incredible moms that are just growing amazing kids, please reach out to her. Well, I don't even think I can tell you what an honor it was to have you
bless
and
you.
how
So
great
fun.
it was to see you.
Yeah.
And I'm in awe of what you do. I'm so proud of you. There was no doubt in my mind
Well, thank you so much.
that
I'm
you
proud to
weren't
be
going to
here.
get out that. And I ask everybody this, and I know you're not going to be the first person to tell me no. You're going to come back on the show, right? And you're going to keep us updated.
Can I say that? Like,
Yeah.
absolutely. Please.
We'd love to hear more after
Yeah.
March
Yeah.
of what's going on,
absolutely.
and we'll get it all on my website and everything for Jenn. And from the bottom of my heart, friend, I love you, and I'm so joyed that you were here today.
Oh, love you too, my friend. And Brittany. We'll
Oh.
talk. We'll talk.
My new co-host,
Yeah.
who's got painted, look, she's got Eagles green nails,
Yeah,
because
oh
she
my
knows that team's going to the Super Bowl,
Yes,
everybody.
Rory does have an Eagles hat.
Yes, that's it, right. I know I love that family for some reason. All right, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.